Hello! Welcome back to Classic Model Trains. I'm Ron. Today's episode, we're going to revive a basket case. 2026 1952 Lionel locomotive. This thing was one of them vintage store finds that I got last fall, and I've been kind of sitting on it, waiting until I got around to ordering up a whistle tender, because we needed a whistle tender to make it the complete locomotive tender combo like it came from. For those of you that didn't see the whistle tender episode, if I did everything right, there'll be a card up here that'll say this is where you go to see that episode. This thing is a basket case. It's like the parts left over at the bottom of the basket that I scraped stuff to. Oh God, it was a long, painful revival. Follow along. We'll check out the story and show you guys how it went. Well, here's what the old 2026 looks like. See, it doesn't have a reversing. There's no lever right up in here. No rear truck. No front truck. This here seems to be somewhat okay. There's a lot missing from this thing. How much? I'm not 100% sure yet, so we're going to get inside here, root around just a little bit and see what's happening. Get these guys off. This is the remnant. Oh, okay. Light assembly comes out. Oh, you can see a little something up there. Chugger, a puffer. Something's happening. Get these side rods off here. 1/4-inch nut driver. I'm going to put the bolt back in so I don't lose the hardware. So I can do that pretty easy. Same to the other side. Oh sure, that come right off. Probably could have just left it attached. These just slide off the back end of these guides here. As this valve gear's moving around, this little piston up here, because it'd be going down by the, by gravity. This is where you get your little puff, 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 puff at right here. Puff, puff, puff. Yep. It's a nice Phillips screw up in the top here. Yep. A couple screws down here. I'm just exploratory here. Exploratory surgery. Take these buggers out. Long buggers. Looks like that's going to get our pilot. Yep. Out of the way. Oh, we're getting closer. This little smoker unit. He's just sitting in there. A couple of grooves right there. And now, oh yeah, we can get this guy out. So the boiler looks to be in really pretty good shape. Hasn't been repainted. It's not nicked up. One little nick right in there. We're going to take the old toothbrush and some Dawn dish soap and some water, and we're going to scrub all this stuff up and get all the years of debris off of it. Now we can see that this guy here, somebody's took the reversing unit off of it. This one is missing. It's just missing so much stuff. And in order to buy the individual little pieces to get this going again, it would have cost a fortune. So I managed to find another one, but it's been repainted. And in the world of Lionel, you don't want a repaint. You want an original. The cab corner here, it's been dropped and bent a little bit. So what we're going to do, it ended up being cheaper buying this one, and then we're going to take the parts out of this one, and then we're going to put them into this one. Because then we're going to have an all original, unpainted Lionel. So we're going to go ahead and do the same to this one and get this stripped out. We'll do that off camera. Now, I'm just curious to see if this thing will even run. I don't run into too many that do not, but I don't want to, go through it all to find out we got a burned out winding or something like that. Oh, yeah, sure. Oh, it's begging for some lubrication. So we're gonna stop right there. It wants to be loved. It really does. We are going to disassemble it a little bit more. Get that armature out. Get all these gears and stuff lubed up. We'll try to clean up these wheels the best we can. They got some filth down there inside of them. I wonder if this E unit works. I never did check that. I had it in lockout. Oh, yeah. That's my luck right there. Absolutely. So now I locked it into neutral. Dang it. Yep. So the light bulb says there's juice a-flowing. The E unit, now I can finally call it the right thing. The E unit, it just locked. So we're gonna hopefully clean that up so we can get the juice to flow again. Always something. It's like we got this one bolt right here holding in the E unit. We're gonna get this brush holder out of the way to make a little more room to root around in there. 2 bolts right here. Couple of nice long healthy brushes, loving it. Let's take these out of here. This bushing for the armature on the other side. 2 bolts. These ones are a little longer on this side. Brush side, shorter. Bushing side over here, longer. Goodness, yeah, scub in there. Sure. It ain't gonna come out unless we take the wheels out. Ah, holy. Well, that's a crying shame right there. Learn something new every day. They didn't give a feller much extra wire at all to get around in here and look at stuff. 3 wires soldered right up to this terminal right here. Must be an important one. It's running the light bulb, it's running the smoker, and it's also going to one of the field windings. Electromagnetic coil right through here, which pulls this up and down. And then as it pulls it up and down, well, gravity lets it go down. I'm holding this at a 90 degree. When the juice is supplied, pulls this up, rotates this drum right here. And that's what gives us our reversing and forwarding. And then there's copper strips down in here that let the juice flow through. These fingers, they're buried down inside here. And they do the connecting. So of course that's got to get all cleaned up. All this stuff flapping in the wind. Well, we're gonna clean up all the oil and old grease that's sitting right down in here with some Q-tips and odorless mineral spirits. Guys gotta have, you gotta have a press, a little puller to pull these wheels off in order to get in here and root around in that area. And I don't have one of those. Most people don't. Some people do. We'll clean up this commutator, of course, with the odorless mineral spirits, shine it up a little bit with this, root around in here and try to get all this cleaned up, and then we'll get this back together, clean up these fingers and this drum in here. We want to get this working good right here on the bench before we put her back together. This little bugger is in really, really filthy shape. The grease that's on there is stuck in it so hard, I can't even scrape it off, and I can't get behind these wheels. Of course, the wheels themselves are really dirty too in the spokes. So I'm going to experiment here with this, and we're going to do a little ultrasonic cleaning on it. I'm only going to put it in so deep. It's only going to get the wheels. I guess some of the reversing solenoid, also the bottom of it. The armature's kind of buried in there, but we got to do something for this thing. Yeah, that's warm. Holy moly! I'm gonna have to get a pliers. Rinse it off here and see what's left over. Dry it up real good. Now that everything's all dried up, I'd have to say that it came out really pretty good. I'm glad I haven't broke any of these wires loose yet. Yeah, but this was worth it. Yup. And, it worked, because if it didn't and I get done putting this all back together and this doesn't run, I would have never showed you this part of me submersing it in the ultrasonic cleaner. Here is the reversing unit again. And I went through with the Q-tips and the odorless mineral spirits, and I polished up the contacts that are in there. Then I came by with this little feller and gave him the once over again. This is a fiberglass pencil that you use, and you rub it on there to really get her all shined up. Now, one of the things that I want to do, checking these, make sure I got it good. This inox right here, it's supposed to keep the brass from tarnishing again. So that's an area that can tarnish, and it's a little bit of a hassle to get into. And most of these things, they sit around after I get done working on them. So I'm going to put some of this on the brass in there. And it's supposed to keep them from getting Scoobied up again. Leaves like a little film behind or something. It's conductive. So we'll just find out. Here, a year from now, I'll pull this back off the shelf and see if we got good forward and backward on it. I want to get this guy mounted up again. It's just sitting here floundering, and eventually these wires are going to break, and then I got to get in there with a damn soldering iron and solder stuff back together. Thought I lost the screw. Get this one guy back in there. Going to use this fiberglass pencil on the commutator. Looks like it's got a big black part that full of grease right there. We'll get it all cleaned up, and we'll make sure we clean the scub out of these grooves right here between the commutators. Going to put our brush holder back in. Got the brushes. I cleaned them all up with the odorless mineral spirits also to get any oil and stuff off them. The brush finger is coming down this way, and you got to line up that little groove in there with it. You can see here, turn this so it's lined up, but we'll probably have to do this again. Yeah, sure. I'll do it after it's in. So the little lines go towards the brush spring. Launch them across the room as many times as you can until you lose one, and then your whole project is shut down. See, I'm just not in the mood I just don't want to bend these little holders up right here to lift this up to get the spring in. Maybe a guy can do it when it's all assembled, but It frightens me because you really got to get those out of the way, and it just, that worked out all right. I didn't have to bend anything too far out of shape. Sure, yep, they're even lined up with the springs. I can see it from here. Use these little short guys. I put this cover on here to hold the armature in while it was in the ultrasonic cleaner. I want to grease these up a little bit. Just some light grease, and I want to get to that and make sure that that drive gear got cleaned up too. Inspected that gear right there, and yeah, it's clean. All the gubbies off of it. For the most part, this is all put back together. We got to get in here and lube it up. And of course, there's no way to get into these axle bushings, so you got to feed it in from the bottom. Once again, like this. Roll her around a little bit. Get into the other side of the bottoms, right through here. And all these gears here, they want some love, so I'm going to use this Super Lube multi-purpose synthetic grease. And we're going to, because it sticks. It doesn't spray all over the place, unless you put too much on, of course. Put some on these gears, and we're going to roll it through. We're going to do that until I can see that there's lube on them, that the lube is getting where we need it. We want it on the gears. Oil your bushings, lube your gears. As I drag this around, I can start to see there's a bit of a sheen in them gears right there. Yeah, it's traveling around. It's getting where we want it to go, and it's gonna stick. We lubed up this output shaft here, this armature bushing here, and over on this side, and then this bull gear down here, lubed up the center. This bull gear lubed up the center. We'll give these rods all just a little taste also. We can hook the juices up to this. This big lob right over here on the side is from the pickups. And then any old ground, a chassis, ground. Give her some power. And yeah. And that thing will bite you. Ow. And here we are back to this again, huh? After this was all cleaned up and put together, it should have just worked. I mean, I've never really ran into one that gave this many problems. There just wasn't enough amps to get the thing going. Roll the wheels, and I'm just like, yeah. So I farted around, and well, it ended up being in that E unit. I had to tear it open, root around in there with a stick, do some work to it. Show you what we did. Well, I've been farting around with this thing for quite some time, and I come to find out that one of my E unit fingers, it ain't pushing enough. You can see them right here. They gotta push on this drum really quite good. These fingers here, they're underneath there, and you can see that they're at different levels too. And I just wasn't making good contact, no matter what a feller did. And these are riveted together. This big bar right here, it's like it's swedged. It goes in this hole, and then they swedge it in like an arbor press or something like that. So I got in here with a couple of needle nose, and it opened up, and now a guy can get in there and really root around and see what's going on. See this finger? That's giving me problems right there. I need to straighten all these out, and I need to get them to push down more on this drum. Every time I look at it really hard, more wires keep breaking off. Good thing I made myself a schematic on how to wire it all up. Plus I found one online I can look at so I can get this right. This here schematic was pretty useful in my diagnosing and rewiring, especially rewiring this thing with the new wires on it. So I figured I would share it with you guys. Found this on the Google machine. Just type in 2026 Lionel wiring schematic. Popped right up. Boy, I tell you what, if your day is going pretty miserable, you should go ahead and try to put one of these back together again just to finish it off. You know, everything that's in here, it was, of course, put into a jig when they built it. The only way to get it back together is having every little piece lined up all at the same time when you finally squeeze her shut again. Oh, man. I had it open. I pulled all the wires out. These just look at this thing. It needs a haircut. I guess since I've gone this far, I'm going to get rid of these cloth braided wires as much as I can and update it a little bit with some newer stuff, just because I've bent and twisted this thing around so much, most of the wires broke off already anyway. So I'm going to solder a whisker in here, down in here, put this in, get to soldering the wires in over here where they go, And I think we got the problem solved. Once I got the drum out of the way and I got the fingers, they were bent back, so I bent them way down real deep. And then I jammed the drum in underneath of them like this. So I know that there's some good pushing down going on right there. So I'm hoping this is going to cure this little problem. Yep. If not the juice is not flowing as good as because we had a finger. One finger was holding up and it wouldn't push. Oh, sure. Yeah, that'll get her done. I made this little physical schematic here of where everything's running at. That helps a guy rewire things. What an absolute nightmare. I'll turn it this way. There's 4 fingers that are, hanging down. They're right down under there. And underneath here, this plate right here, it's got 2 more going back like that. Now I took it apart because one of the fingers wasn't touching enough. And then when I managed to spend 2 hours putting it back together, I bent one of the lower fingers up, and it was so, I gotta go and eat now. I've been working on this thing for so long. Them reversing units, there's a lot going on in there, I'll tell you what. Now we are happily running reverse, neutral, forward. Oh, yeah. Put some new wires on it. And I'm going to have to, of course, now rewire up the smoke unit and the headlight. Now we're moving forward. Honest, I've been working on it for 4 hours now to get up to this because you just can't see all the stuff going on in that reversing unit there. There's a lot happening. Well, here's all of our major components for this thing here. Body, of course, it wasn't that bad shape. Cleaned up really nice. We are going to start assembling this thing. Here I replaced most of the wires in this thing. Now that we finally got it running, that was like pulling teeth. I ain't kidding. So this pin in the back right here, apparently the first one was so broke, well, it was missing the reversing unit. Second one was really, this pin was bent because it had been dropped. So you gotta pull, looks like you gotta pull that pin out in order to really make yourself happy while working on this thing. Yes, don't. Yes, maybe. All my fancy wires I put in here. Some of them are in the way. Apparently all these wires, they need to be on the top. They don't want to not be. They want to be all the way up here in order to get everything to fit. Here we go again. 9th time's charm. A little pin in here. It slides across the back. Holds everybody in. Get it lined up with this body overhaul right there. Pin through there, through there. Kind of ugly. Yeah. Take the bolt that looks like this. It's going to go up here, hold the front of the loco in, slide our main rods in here. It's been so long since I've taken it apart, I forgot. Put these nuts to the outside, put in our puffer unit, put in our steam chest, these big buggers right here. Get these 2 machine bolts back in to hold our steam chest, pile it on, put our trucks together, get our headlight assembly down inside here. Get these 2 little fellers in that are holding our front pilot truck in. Put our tender hitch in. This special little bolt right here that holds this whole thing together in the back. I didn't have a rear truck in this thing when I got it. Of course, I have been fighting with it to get it all in. I need to take something apart so I know how it works. This rear hitch was all bent out of shape because it was dropped on the back end. So you've got this little door, gate, something right through here. Come in under this, on top of that, flip it upside down, hook it under here, and then you fight to get the bolt in where the bolt goes, and I've got 27 failed attempts so far. I ain't kidding you. Is that it? Is that the one? That felt like it. Gotta get all this lined up. Yes, something's happening here. That was a pain. I've seen space shuttle booster O-rings that were engineered better than that. Man, oh man, that was tough. We got all the wheels in on it now. Oh, as soon as I get this part done, I can go eat supper. I am really looking forward to that. I've been out here all day. Get these side rods back in shape. How many do I got? I got 2 to do. This one, this one. This has got to be a hassle. Every time I turn around, this little feller, he's trying to scoot out of here. Doesn't want to go to work, I guess. Let's give everybody that's new to this party just a drink here. You're new to the party. This guy up here, over here. I don't know if we ever did oil these. I think we did. Same on the other side. And this old girl's ready for the track. It is. It's ready. It is red. We got her up on the track right now. Of course, you remember this little feller? Yeah, it was the one we repaired from yesterday. I wanted to have, you know, the way that they came from the factory, the correct numbers and stuff like that on it. We are having success. I do wish I had a longer layout. I do. It's nice and snappy. Oh, I love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Here's a little bonus. Throw another one of these down its yap. Oh yeah. There's a huh? That's what I wanted to see. Yeah. The smoking unit even works on it. Wish it was like a Marks unit though, because what I understand, the Marks ones, they hemorrhage the smoke out. This one, not so much. We can't let it sit there and idle and hemorrhage. Yep. Well, fine, rebuild. Put this up on the shelf and I can stare at it now for a while, I suppose. Yep. I'm going to hold off on this week's classic model because I just did like 9 hours ago, I did one. As of yet, nobody's guessed who it is, even though I put the name at the end of the episode. Maybe nobody watches to the end, or they're like, who is that? That's one of the 3 gals that started off the beginning of the television program where they were swimming in the water tank. Can you tell me which of the 3 gals, which character she played? Who is it? Well, I'm going to settle in with a pint of my favorite IPA craft beer. Spent 2.5 days working on these 2 episodes here. Hope you guys have enjoyed them. I'm Ron with Classic Model Trains. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Bye-bye.